everyone. John Michael Swift. Welcome back to my Romanza Improvisation series. And this lesson is going to be about, I would say, advanced improvisation techniques. And what I'm really going to be focusing on are ways to kind of get yourself through longer and more challenging improvisations. Because the trick with large improvisations, it's easy to just get lost. You know, that's really, really a dangerous problem, and it can be very, very stressful when you're trying to work with structured improvisations or long improvisations. How do you keep it interesting without just going off into la-la land? How do you kind of develop that kind of middle ground? So this is just going to be a bunch of tricks that I've developed to help you do that, and then in the next video I'm going to demonstrate the jala improvisation that I taught in the last lesson. So yeah, hope you find that, folks. Hope you find that helpful. Description box below has the Navigator to get around the lesson, so if you want to kind of go to the chapters of this, feel free to do that. Okay, here we go. First thing I'm going to do is just give you a little nugget that I've been working with. I call it an error primer. The basic idea is that an audience will accept anything if they expect it on some level, if they believe you intended it. So one joke a lot of folks make is if you play wrong notes, you just like call it jazz or something. Of course, it's a little tricky to do that, but when you're doing structured improvisations, and especially if it's a new improvisation and you're not super familiar with it yet, you're likely to hit some wrong notes. But one thing you can do is you can prepare the audience's ears for that and really have ways of getting around it. And one of the best tricks really is like focusing on what they call outside lines in jazz. So let's say I'm jamming in here in E minor like I've been doing for this whole series. So E minor. Now coincidentally there, that C sharp, I didn't mean to hit the C sharp. I actually meant to hit the C. I'm not making that up. I just didn't hit a note I meant to, but I thought, oh, it sounds like a Dorian phrase. And I kind of justified it that way. Well, I mean, I might not get so lucky. I might hit some real funky note like, you know, flat 5, and I suppose I could call it a, you can use almost any note in any scale as part of some modal phrase. But even if you hit like super duper wacky stuff, there is a technique in jazz music called outside lines. And the basic idea is if you have your regular key, you basically just play all the wrong notes on purpose, something like a, and then you come back inside. So if my right notes in this area, like my melody might be, I might kind of fill in with something like that, or probably a better example would be something like, my regular notes would be, a little pentatonic there. I just do the pentatonic a half step, and then resolve back to the tonic. So even if you hit something super duper wacky, if you start an improvisation now, I'm like, you're just warming up, no one knows what I'm doing yet. Start with some inside stuff. You do it like you really mean it. Just do a couple of those kind of mixed up with some normal stuff. Yeah, so my main advice is if you find a little scale box, a really easy scale box, transpose it by a half step, and then find your way back in after a really quick thing. If you seed a couple of those really early in an improvisation, a lot of times you can use those to find your way back. Let yourself be a little outside and just keep playing like you meant it, even if you hit a wrong note, and you come back in. And you can do that with any type of thing. Like in the improvisation I'm working on now, my most likely thing is to hit open string. So if I just start out like this, start my pedaling pattern, I'm just going to improvise the open strings a bit. They're in the audience's ears. See, it looks like I meant it, So now if I'm playing along later, and I just hit a bunch of random low notes, it's less likely to sound unnatural. So that's a thought. error primer. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about, I have 4 major topics I want to talk about in this. The first one is what I call volleys. When you're doing structured improvisations, it's a wide world. And every time you sit down to play a particular improvisation that you've set up, you should try to get better at it than the last time. But there will always be better to get. There will always be deeper to go. There will always be faster. You'll be able to play it forever. So figure out what you're going to try to do today. And these are what I call this thinking in volleys. When I start an improvisation for the first time, I let myself just kind of screw with it the first couple times, no expectations, just to get some ideas out. But when I first try to play it for real, I try to play it for at least 1 minute. You know, I'll start my pedaling pattern. Whatever I do, I don't rush. Try to do new stuff for at least a minute, and whatever I do, I just push myself to that minute. And the main thing you're going to find is that as you kind of push yourself beyond the minute, you're going to find more and more ways to keep it interesting. That's all you need to do. You know, every time you come back to the improvisation, you can say, okay, where didn't I go yet? What's something new I can do? Always try to push yourself deeper, but at least the first time you really try to play it, push yourself to that 1 minute mark. And, you know, every time you're done, reflect a little bit, but, you know, just bear in mind, you're going to burn yourself out at some point. At some point, you're going to be like, okay, I played this out. Or if you hit some like huge peak, you hit the most epic ending to your improvisation ever, you're like, yes, this is awesome. Just have in your mind how you're going to end it. Wind it down and end it gracefully, no matter how weirdly it goes. Know what your ending is going to be, know what your mukura is, and get to it somehow, you know, so that even if weird things happen in the middle, it doesn't feel like you just kind of threw it away. You know, so just, you know, be prepared to kind of handle it as a graceful beginning and ending, and be ready to reflect on it every time. So every time you come back, it's deeper. Next thing I really want to talk about is a concept they call Jedi foresight. I talk with my students about this a lot, but it's like, it's always trying to look just a couple of seconds ahead. Even really, really good improvisers usually don't look more than just like a phrase or two ahead of where they are, but your improvising brain knows how to deal with the options that are coming up. That's what kind of develops as you do it more. But you really want to be, you don't want to be going any faster or adding new ideas any quicker than you can kind of see a bit ahead of where you're going. And when you kind of lose sight of that, when you start rushing ahead of yourself, that's when your improvisation gets out of balance and just gets kind of wacky. So if your improvisation does fall apart, know how to get back to your pedaling pattern. Always have your kind of, you know, your really simple thing that you always come back to. But just be kind of aware, okay, when that happens, okay, I lost my foresight. And whatever you do, build very, very slowly. Even when you start, even when you know where you're going, build slowly. Don't give it away too quick. Hold on to it. If it sounds nice, don't rush. Play just one note a bunch of times and really savor it. There's such great things you can do just with little bits of space. You know, you don't need to rush. You should start out with the slowest pace you could possibly muster. And even when you speed up and you start accelerating and you've built an idea and you're like, you're doing nasty. You know, even when you start to build an idea like that up really deeply and you're like zipping with it, let it calm down. And when you go, every time you start to explore a new idea, edge into it very slowly and try to sense where you're going to go before you go there. Because you might sense, oh, if I go there, I'm probably going to crash. And so that's when you try to just find a way to just poke into something. You know, for me, when I'm getting down to the bass register in this improvisation, if I'm here and I'm like on my D string, I got my stuff. So now I'm starting to reach to the A and the E string. It's tough. I just poke in there. A little bit at a time, and I really try to prepare my mind so when I go for it, I think I'm going to make it. I try not to go anywhere unless I think I'm going to make it. And I just try to feel a bit ahead of where I am. And as I get a little more comfortable, I add a bit. But just in little bits at a time, you just build very slowly. rest frequently and you just let yourself recover. All right, a little further. You know, everything you do, just let it be very, very restrained, very, very held back, because eventually you can go anywhere you want. But if you overextend yourself, it's going to fall apart, it's going to sound messy. So just look to build the dynamics and every little thing. Just build it a littlest bit at a time and let yourself explore every little nook and cranny of every idea you get into. Like, because the slower you go, the more you learn. That's really all there is to it. This is all about exploring musical territory. One other thing that can help that a lot, to help you kind of get more out of your phrases, is having an intermediary phrase marker. So it's like, for me, you know, I have 3 major structural things. I've got my basic pedaling pattern. I have my mukra, when I want to be done with a phrase. That's how I end stuff. But then in the middle, if I'm kind of messing around with something, I'm like, okay, I got this really cool, like... Whenever I hit that low E, it's like I'm like, okay, boom, I just capped a phrase off. You know, I can use it to kind of build stuff up. It's like, that's that phrase, and I'll do a little longer one. And you just let it get longer and longer and longer, but that intermediary phrase marker is a way of saying, okay, here's this little phrase, boom, now another one, and it gets longer and longer and longer until you're like, okay, I played this idea out, something different, you know? Something totally different, you know, similar, but gives you a little bit of new territory to work with. Okay. The other major topic I want to cover is making mistakes. Everyone's like, oh my God, I'm going to make a mistake. This is going to make mistakes your best friend, you know, because the first thing you got to realize is when you make mistakes, they're going to take you in a direction you didn't expect. But that's where all the creative stuff comes. I mean, you know, honestly, 80% of your mistakes are not going to sound that great. And you know, life's going to go on. You know, if you cover them as best as you can, it will be fine. But 20% of your mistakes are going to lead you to new reaches of genius. 20% of your mistakes are going to be surprisingly good sounding ones. And you don't want to lose those. So, I mean, the first thing is just, if you make a mistake, even if you don't like it, that's the new direction. Go with it, pretend like you meant it. I think I heard a Dizzy Gillespie say, if you make a mistake, do it again. You know, whatever it is you didn't like, do it again so people think you meant it. And if it ends up sounding good, you're like, ooh, that's kind of neat. You know, let's build on that. You know, most of your really good new ideas are going to come from mistakes. You know, and you know, just trusting them, letting them happen. Do it again, no matter how weird it sounds, so it seems like you meant it. And then especially if it's, you know, letting it define the new direction, good or bad. You know, sometimes working with bad stuff, you know, really ends up being more interesting. It forces you to think in different ways. So as much as you can, try to embrace mistakes as a natural part of the process, but not something to be feared or something to make you lose your steam. Because if you lose your steam because you're like, oh my gosh, I made a mistake, that's death. If you work with a mistake and you really pull something great out of it, and people even realize you made a mistake, but you did something good with it, that's like, that's, you know, that's the ultimate form of heroism in improvisation. And even if you just try to save a mistake and you don't make it, you know, you don't convince the audience, I guess. I mean, you know, a lot of people respect that you try. They really do. You know, audiences can be very forgiving if you really give what you have. So those are some things to bear in mind. So if you found this video helpful, subscribe to the channel. There's tons of new stuff like this. I'm always trying to do something creative with my teaching, new ideas that I have. I'm always trying to get them out there. So yeah, next video is going to be an actual improvisation based on the idea I taught in this video and the last one. So we'll show some of the principles at work. Hope that's helpful. And yeah, feel free to post questions if you have any. But yeah, see you later, y'all.